identity politics and stuff like that. We're gonna jump over to this story right over here. I believe it's the same. It's the same. It's not the same article, but it's the same. I believe it's the same topic. So right over here. So this is from Bounding in the Comics. So prominent anti-ESG Disney investor calls on company to commit to political neutrality before they are expected to take sides and that won't be favorable. So I believe you sent this to sent something to me earlier, but I think it's from a different website. And so let's go ahead and read this. In the midst of the ongoing public backlash against the company's recent foray into political activism, prominent anti-ESG Disney investor Vivek Ramaswamy has made a personal plea to the House of the Mouse for them to refrain from stepping further into this arena. Otherwise, he warns they will be expected to take sides and won't be favorable to his business. So here's the thing. This is talking about how like they are talking about identity politics. They're talking taking sides in the political stuff. It's sort of like one big caveat to this, I believe, is what's it called again? Wait, Rings of Power. You like it? No.
House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon.
Sorry, I probably misspoke. But I believe the first thing that sort of like where Disney really like I'm pretty sure Disney was really already like politically involved or motivated. But what big thing that happened was during 2020 when they fired Gina Carano for I'm assuming that's when it started, in my opinion, right? Basically she basically came out saying that how it was during the Summer of Love here in the US where there's a bunch of like riots and stuff like that. Billions of dollars of buildings were burnt and stuff like that, and then the whole thing with George Floyd and stuff like that. And it's she basically posted a picture of I guess a picture of somewhere in Germany in 1942 during the Nazis Adolf Hitler's regime, saying that like these are our neighbors, and if we don't we should treat each other like neighbors and stuff like that, and we should not fight our neighbors, something along those lines. And then she got fired from Mandalorian, right? She didn't say anything political. I was just saying that we should treat each other like how we want to be treated. We should treat our neighbors, or what happens is if we start treating our neighbors, like how we are treating them right now, we might end up in maybe a situation that we will not want. That's all she said. And it wasn't even her quote. It was an image that she shared that had a quote on it. So I think that's when, like a lot of these things starts happening, right? The founder of the biopharmaceutical company Roivant Sciences and the author of the Woke Inc. Inside Corporate America's Social Justice Scam, Ramaswamy, if it wasn't already apparent in the title of the book, has been a fervent critic of the corporate America's recent obsession of following environmental, social, and governance (ESG) principles, in which short essentially serves as rubrics against companies which companies can rank their commitments to such goals as promoting diversity, fighting climate change, and performing social outreach, and the like. On September 19th, speaking as representative of his recently co-founded Strive Asset Management and those investors who through his firm have some level of stake in the entertainment company, Ramaswamy issued a formal letter to the Disney CEO, Bob Chapek, asking him to corrective action in the face of an unprecedented public approvals rating, a collapse following the company's public embrace of controversial political positions in deference to social activists. So basically, in short, I'm assuming what he's trying to say is Republicans buy Nikes too, right? So if you are catering all of your entertainment that's coming out towards one side and not the other, coming from a person who just likes money, right, who's an investor of the company, they would just want more money. So, and if you are just siloing all of your content towards one side of the party, you're alienating your other side. And when it comes down to investors, all you're seeing is why there's 50% of the market that's being untapped. Why is that? Right? And like they are basically letting these Twitterati's, basically a bunch of these angry people on Twitter, dictating what they are trying to come out with. It's like, hey, we want this thing, don't do this thing, fire this person. It's a very good example is Evangeline Lilly. You know who that is, right?
I don't think so. I
So
don't think so.
Evangeline Lilly played Tauriel in The Hobbit, and she played a wasp in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Mm.
So
Okay.
she I believe she lives in Canada. If correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she lives in Canada. And during the whole I believe it was early this year or last year, there was these truckers who are basically the people who are without truckers, our food and our distributions are basically going to hell. Without them, that's it. We don't have any food. We don't have any materials that are being transported. So they were forced to take the COVID shot. They're like, if you don't take it, we fire you. Right? You're done. And they're like, that. Well, like that's it's sort of like the thing is like we don't want to take it. Like how about if we're uncomfortable? How about if we are our doctor told us not to take it, or worst case, what happens if they're they're anti-vax? You can't force them because this is a medical procedure. And so what happened is that they started doing a strike, and they stopped delivering stuff to stores and stuff like that, and they started doing this like big strike where a bunch of these trucks were all lined up in Ottawa, in Canada.
Oh yeah, I read that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and they're basically like not doing anything, and they're basically honking their horns, protesting, right? And this is a peaceful protest, right? They're not doing anything. Maybe they're doing noise pollution because they're honking their horns, and you have these people who are like these food vendors that will actually come out and give them food and stuff like that. It was actually pretty nice, right? And I think Evangeline Lilly was one of the people who are saying that you shouldn't have to be forced to take the vaccine. Right? You shouldn't have to be forced. You shouldn't be fired from that. And all of a sudden, people on Twitter is like, fire this person. She's an anti-vaxxer. She's obviously a Trump supporter, and she's a conservative Republican or something like that. You should fire her. And she recast Wasp in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Because and it's just like she didn't even say anything political. All she said that people should have, if it's a person's body, they should have the choice whether or not they want to take the COVID shot, whether or not you want to or not want to. It should be up to the person's personal preference. And that's one of the things where saying that these social activists and driving all these things is sort of like making things like Disney's probably lost a good amount of money is because of something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's continue reading. Citing such events as companies battle with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis over the state's newly passed parental rights and education law, the firing of Gina Carano, and the various attempts on the way in on the anti-abortion legislation, Ramaswamy would lament, there is no evidence to suggest that these positions have benefited Disney stockholders, and the growing body of evidence suggested that they have harmed Disney stockholders. See, that's the thing. Ultimately, all Disney, the stockholders and the stakeholders and investors all really care about the money, the figures, right? If the Dow Jones has plummeted because of the, and stuff like that, and people are basically staying home and stuff like that, your stock should go up is because people are watching Disney Plus. But the fact that you're saying all these things, like make this go away. We want more money, right? And the thing is that like this is very controversial, is because like who work in the, I guess I would consider I work in the entertainment business.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
I see all of this firsthand. So it's pretty crazy. And like I'm actually glad that the company I work for is it's pretty like it's pretty neutral in terms of the things. Like if you don't want to, we're not going to force you to do it. But if you want to come into work, you have to make sure you have a negative COVID test and stuff like that, right? I think that's how it should be done. But like if it's like, oh, you have to do this, or if you're not with us, you're against us, kind of thing. And ultimately as an investor, like all I'm seeing is that we're losing money. And like especially if the only time that you actually hear investors actually do something about something is if their pockets are wearing thin because of the money, right?
Mhm.
To the contrary, just last week, you praised Disney for standing our ground, he asserted. We find these comments deeply troubling for Disney's future. To this end, Ramaswamy then took moment to remind Disney's boards it owes its fiduciary duty solely to Disney's actual owners, not to the minority of its employees, activists, organizations, and large financial institutions who promote one-sided political agendas. See, the thing is that, right? I like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but if I am trying to make entertainment, I'm trying to make entertainment for everyone, right? I'm not trying to like entertain just one political aisle or another political aisle, because as Disney, you're going to be alienating your audience, right? I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, or anything like that, what religion you believe in. Like, all I care is make something that everyone likes watching, right? And if you and stop saying if you don't like it, don't watch it. It's because that's what everyone is saying, right? You have all of these people, these activists, these actors in Hollywood saying that if you don't like what we make, don't watch it. And then you actually see your money go down is because of, all right, we won't watch it then. It's very plain and simple how things have fallen apart in Hollywood, and especially in Disney, which is one of the most powerful companies out there.
Mhm.
But so Grae, so I'm a person who does not live in the States. Do you get any of this, like, where you are?
Honestly, it's not as apparent here in the
Mhm.
Philippines compared to, because I'm just like I'm all over the internet all the time, which is why I'm very abreast of the situation compared to my peers here in the Philippines.
Mhm.
Because yeah, it's not really a big thing here in the Philippines. Whenever there's that kind of advocacy, it's generally, it generally has a favorable response, because here they don't take it too far.
Mhm.
They don't interpret it in such a way that the same way you guys do it. Like, for example, I actually, when I was scrolling through my Facebook, I saw our news media covering Little Mermaid, the one with the Hail Berry. When I saw their reactions, it was actually generally positive, because they don't really go into it as much as you guys do. So, which is why it's
Mhm.
not really much of a big deal here. But
Mhm.
yeah, I pointed this out to you because I think this topic here, the ESG, this is something I believe YouTubers should tackle more rather than the Disney content themselves.
Mhm.
Why? Because I think this is the root of it. This is the root of why all Disney's making all this decisions in their entertainment. Like, why they're going for very woke, they're going for the race swapping. It's because of this. It's because of this ESG.
Mhm.
Because I watched a YouTube video months prior. I'm not sure if it's the BlackRock video or the Netflix video, but it was made by a popular YouTuber named Moon.
Mhm.
In those topics, like why this company is falling apart, why this company is going down profits, he points out it's because of ESG. Because apparently the ESG, there's a financial index for that. That's the sole basis of that financial index is you need to be ESG centric. You need to be environmental, social governance. I don't know what it
Mhm.
says in the article. So the moment you're not part of that index, ESG index, you lose access to a ton of investors, which is why I think to a certain degree, these companies are sort of like tied, their hands are tied, even though like you're the CEO of Disney. Yeah, you have
Mhm.
to adhere to these woke agendas, woke politics because of this index. Because the moment you fall out of that index, you lose access to a lot of investor money. So
Mhm.
in the business side of things, like example, if I'm a big time hedge fund manager, if you are not in that ESG index, if you are not listed in that ESG index, I cannot put money to you. Which
Mhm.
is why I think which is what is leading these companies to do what they're doing. Like, even though people are saying like, stop this woke stuff, stop this woke content, it's because they apparently I strongly believe they cannot, because they want to still maintain their listing in that index.
Mhm.
Of course, they cannot. The example, Bob, he cannot say it publicly. oh, I cannot unwoke Disney because we'll be delisted. Of course, he's gonna be in shitload of trouble if he says that. I think
Yeah.
this is the reason. This is why I feel that people should point this out more. I think change has to manifest in the index so that these companies trying to go woke like Netflix, Disney, that's when the change can happen, so that they can go back to making good entertainment for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's this is why it's because like what I know this a lot of YouTubers talk about, like what we talk about, like we talk about Rings of Power being too woke, we talk about the Star Wars being too woke, but we don't really point out as much of the ESG.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really think it's the ESG that needs to be revised or changed.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's beginning to manifest here in this article because it's already the investors themselves are pointing it out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we need to change things. We need Disney stop taking political sides. We need, at the end of the day, all I care about is making more profit. So I think
Yeah.
this is a step in the right direction, which is why I
Mm-hmm.
feel that this should be talked about more. Because once more and more investors chime in, like, okay, stop with the woke agenda, stop with the woke politics. I think that's the time when Disney will actually listen, rather than customers complaining. But
Yeah.
also, there's also this other side, which for me, I find kind of weird. Like, what is the point of staying in that index? So you can have access to the pool of these big time investors, if you're losing money anyway. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how is it still going to be attractive to these investors if you're continuously losing substantial amount of revenue, or you're not making as much money as they would want, so that you'll be attractive to invest in? So yeah, there's also that side to it. But at the end of the day, I think this is a step in the right direction, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping that more large investors step in. Because the
Mm-hmm.
article I showed you, I think he possesses like 11%, something like that. I'm not familiar with the numbers, but
Decent amount.
yeah, a decent amount. Yes, a
That's a
decent
big
amount. I
amount. Yeah.
hope we can only hope that more investors step in, join him in his advocacy. That
Mm-hmm.
way, we can actually see change within these entertainment companies, so that we can finally get the content that we want, like MCU Phase One type of content, stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like going back to your comment earlier, and you talk about like why are they sort of like like look, if the investors are like they see them losing money, why are they staying on the ESG? I think the reason why is because a lot of these companies that are producing these like in entertainment, like for instance, right, you have Viacom, right? Viacom owns Paramount, Nickelodeon, and DreamWorks, right? And then you have what's it called, Buena Vista Disney, which owns like Marvel's, Lucas, ESPN, now Fox, and then you have what's it called, Time Warner, or Comcast, that owns like Warner Brothers and stuff like that, Cartoon Network, and those are basically your, like, at least the big three companies that owns, like, in terms of entertainment, they own majority of everything, and there isn't a lot of companies out there that are coming out with their own entertainment, right? Like, it's like, for instance, you have I believe the Daily Wire, that's a conservative Republican, kind of, not Republican, but more conservative leaning, that's run by Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, and Jeremy Boring, and they're basically more conservative, and they're like they're releasing their own entertainment content, right? Like, they came out with Run, Hide, Fight, and they have one, like, something on the prairie with Gina Carano. I think she stars in it, because when Gina Carano got canceled by Disney, she went over to the Daily Wire, because then Daily Wire made a movie, and she basically starred in it. And what's it called again? This is said by Andrew Breitbart. He said, what's it called again? Uh, Politics is downstream from entertainment, or something like that, or reverse. And it's so close. So as of right now, what, like, the companies that basically runs, like, Hollywood, like these big companies, majority of them are, like, the stakeholders are actually, like, they're extremely rich, right? You have these George Soros people that, like, basically funds these, like, narratives, like, we should have all of these narratives. So that's why George Soros is like a mega billionaire in Hollywood. Like, it's sort of, they sort of just follow where the money goes. But once, like you said, what we have to do as people who are consumers, we have to, I guess, like sort of like vote with our money. We vote whether or not we like what Disney's doing, what Netflix is doing, what these companies are doing. And when you see their stocks tank, or like especially with Netflix, I believe back in February they lost like what, several, like maybe like 200,000 or like 2 million people unsubscribed because of cuties, right? Do you know
Yeah.
what, you remember cuties, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So like it's just like I know a lot of people unsubscribe. I was very very close to doing it, is because like I don't want to support something that supports something that I do not believe in, especially something that has to do with pedophilia kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, I have like 8 to 10 people that are using my account, and so like
Oh, okay.
I can't just like, oh, here we go, like. So I'm like, you know what, I'll just suck it up, take one to the, take one to the face, and it's, and I'm paying for the more expensive one. I'm paying for the one that's like 17.99. So I'm like you got to stop these with these things. So like once they start seeing that, hey, our money is not is running dry, the well is running dry, we're gonna have to stop making stuff. And they found out that, I think one major thing that they found out was, I'm not sure, but Top Gun Maverick has no political leaning in it, right? It's just a entertainment fun movie. Yes, it has to do it. You could be like, oh, this is pro-war propaganda and shit like that, whatever. Okay, like that's, every country has goes to war. Okay, and every country benefits from going to war, whether you like it or not, right? It's because what happens when you go to war, there's actually a lot of money being exchanged. So what's it called again, you have I think it's Paramount that made a movie that has no political leaning, no like, it's not woke at all, it's just entertainment, and it broke $1 billion. So it's like you did something like that that's just entertaining. Why can't we just do more of that? Like maybe that's something that sort of, okay, I've opened up my eyes. I'm quote unquote awakened now, right? I'm woke now. So like it's just, maybe we just lean back a little bit, and we're hoping that this sort of like crazy thing that's happening right now in entertainment can sort of just go back to where it was maybe like 10 years, 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And it's
For
just like
sure.
create entertaining stuff, like no, like sure you can add in your stuff, like a lot of people like, oh, if you thought this was, if you don't like the Little Mermaid Ariel, Haley Bailey playing Little Mermaid, why do you like this thing? It's like, yes, I like it. It's because it's entertaining, right? I remember there's a singer. I think I spoke earlier. Her name is Brandy. Like she's black, and I believe she's a singer and actor. And then I think they made like a Cinderella movie. Like, and this is back in the '90s, and a lot of people was like, well, are you mad about that? It's like, no, it's because it was entertaining. So the thing is that I know nothing. We haven't seen any more footage of like Haley Bailey as Little Mermaid, but the thing is that you're I believe the synopsis of the story of the movie has already been leaked, right? She's not going to the shore for Eric. She's going to the shore for a dog. I'm like, that's not the story. You're changing up the story. So I think that's what people really hate. It's like, look what happened with Mulan. They completely changed that movie, and that's like my favorite Disney movie. Not because I'm Chinese. It could be a reason because it's Chinese, but it's sort of like, like I have a close friend of mine, like he loves Raya. Like it's because it's about like Filipino culture with like people from like from the islands, right? Like it's like you have like the Filipino culture in it. And then I watched it with my wife. We're just like, movie's okay. He's not like a masterpiece or anything like that, but it's just like, but the fact that now they feel like they always need something that has to represent them.
Yeah.
And if it's not representing me in the movie or the show, then it's not worth it. I'm not going to watch it.
Mhm.
And the thing is that you're sort of, that's not how entertainment should be. Yes, maybe they can have a character, but why can't you just make something that's entertaining? Right? You can't just like, oh, you have to watch this because the lead is this person. You have to watch this because the lead is this person. I think
Mhm.
that's a wrong way for watching movies.
Yeah.
But all right, so let's. I believe a little bit almost done. Right, to contrary on blah 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 blah. Okay, here it is. In 2022, three of the largest passive assets managers in the world, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, which is Vanguard. I believe all of these are actually like they had, which is crazy. BlackRock and Vanguard. Vanguard's like one of the biggest banking companies in the world. Where Disney's top three shareholders detailed. By contrast, the actual powers of Disney are not BlackRock, State Street, or Vanguard, or for that matter, Strive. Disney's actual owners are the clients of these institutions, everyday citizens whose capital is invested in passively managed index funds. You owe a fiduciary duty to the actual owners of Disney, not the institutions who claim to represent them. There are strong reasons to believe that these large asset managers are not acting with their clients' best interests in mind. Like Disney customers and Americans more generally, Disney's shareholders are not monolithically progressive. Thus, even if these investors wanted their capital to be used for political purposes, and most do not all of them will agree with the positions Disney chose to adopt. So,
okay.
So I believe that it talks a little bit more about a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, like bringing in Ironheart, like for me, do you know Ironheart's backstory?
No, I'm not. Is he or she related to Iron Man?
Okay,
Or is that
so,
yeah, okay. Go ahead.
so Ironheart is I think her name is Riri. I think her name is Riri Williams or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. But she is a African American, and
Okay.
and her backstory of how she became Ironheart is the most dumbest shit ever. So she was in school, and what's it called again? And I guess she was like writing an article or something like that, and
Okay.
and it's like, I can be whatever I want, and then he's like, and then like something about being like, oh, you can be whoever you want, right? When you grow up, you can be whoever you want, and the teacher is like, technically that's not true. You cannot be whoever you want. Some people have it better, some people have it worse. So you can't actually be whoever you want to be. And it's like who can I not be? You're right. And then she goes, I don't know. You cannot be Tony Stark. And then her motivation in life now, she's supposed to be really, really smart. She's like 16. Her motivation moving forward was, I'm gonna be better than Tony Stark. So she actually sneaks into Tony Stark's like house and steals his technology and makes her own suit.
What?
Yeah, that's Ironheart, right? And she is actually in the next Black Panther movie, the Wakanda Forever. Like you see a little girl that's like hammering something that has a heart, like sort of like on sort of you see where her helmet is, like there's a little heart shape.
Yeah.
Her actual suit, like where the light will actually beam out, is actually shape of a heart too. So like Ironheart. And for me, I'm just like, that's so stupid. Like,
Yeah.
we need a black person to do this. We need we need an Asian Hulk, right? Okay, we're gonna have Braun or like Amadeus Cho. We're gonna have an Asian Hulk now. I'm like, that's so stupid. Like, but it's like it's just all these things came in like the what's it called again, the 2012s around there, 2013s. That's when it happened in comics first, and that's when comics sort of started to die. Now like comics as a medium is just a dead medium now, because first of all, everything's digital, so it sucks. But yeah, there's actually in a Wakanda Forever, and then you have what's it called again? You have a Miss Marvel. You need a what's it called again? I believe a Pakistani like representative and stuff like that. And it's crazy, man. It's pretty nutty. Thanks for checking out this segment of the Project Eggroll podcast. If you like what we do here, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you will know next time when we go live. We do go live every Saturday at 8 p.m. Once again, we are just getting started. Tons of more video to come. Thanks, and we'll see you guys next time.